Hi, everybody, and welcome to SA Rugby Magazine. I'm Kevin Ferguson, the money man. I got Gavin Rich Pickings with me. Gav, the season's taking shape, or it's pretty much over in the Six Nations.
Yeah.
URC still ongoing. And there's times when people tell you who they are or show you who they are, you better believe them.
Yeah.
And still, it's stop trading on reputational thing. I was right last week. I picked Italy to beat England.
You did, and you reminded me about on WhatsApp when the final whistle went.
It was a gentle reminder. There was nothing,
Yeah.
No gloating.
Okay.
It's I only wish that I put more money on but I didn't. I
Yeah.
put a little bit of money on it. I put money on Galatasaray last night to beat Liverpool. They did. So I'm in a bit of a rich vein of form. And we've got the last games of the Six Nations. And I'd have to say to you this, and absorb this and comment on it. The biggest winner of the Six Nations has been South Africa.
Well, in the sense that everybody's been so inconsistent. Okay, so France have been knocked over, and I think
They
that
had 50 points scored against them.
I think that that's a very. I think we spoke last week, and I said that the one thing I would like to see France facing is a deficit against Scotland. Remember, I said, how will they respond if Scotland get the lead that they got against Argentina in November, or even against England? Because England did come back in that game in the game at Murrayfield. How will they respond if they get behind Scotland, who do have a bit of a reputation at the moment for starting fast, and they spat the dummy. In my opinion, they spat the. France is still France. They may have changed in the sense of
they lost by they conceded 50 points.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They still France temperamentally. They may have improved in their. They may have improved in their depth and Fabien Galtez. He's obviously innovating and there's some good things happening in France and there's good reason why they're seen as a sort of a growing team. But sometimes I think that France are a little bit overhyped. They go to every World Cup with a chance of winning it, and they're almost as bad as Ireland. I mean, okay, they've made a couple of finals, whereas Ireland don't get past the quarterfinals. But they're almost as bad as Ireland in the last couple of editions of the World Cup. I'm talking about Ireland, where they go there and everybody expects them to be top contenders. And France, that was a very that was a big blow to France, I think, losing to Scotland like that. As you say, 50 points to 40, but it wasn't 40. When it was 47-14 with I think 20 minutes to go, I mean the game was over. And this is actually what speaks to my point about France. Why I say that they're mentally vulnerable is that they only really sort of started to get together in that game when the game was lost.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the game was over. So then they could throw the ball around.
They made it respectable.
Yeah, they made it respectable by throwing the ball around. They were no longer under pressure. But they just looked so mentally vulnerable. I mean, and it was summed up by Antoine Dupont that pass behind the try line. And that is a huge thing for South Africa, because I did say, well, we've always said that if there's one big challenger to South Africa, it's France. I think with Dave Rennie being appointed as the All Black coach, they may, and note that I say may, they may emerge as contenders by the time we get to the World Cup next September. But at the moment,
do they have the cattle? Sure.
That would be my. That would be the why I would say that possibly not, because I don't know if they've got the cattle. But what I do know is that Dave Rennie is likely to get Brodie Retallick back. We already know Richie Mo'unga is coming back for the World Cup, so they've got the cattle coming back to that particular team. I'm not sure if they've got the depth that South Africa has got at the moment, and the big caveat with New Zealand to me is
you're not sure. I mean, come on, let's not be silly.
Because they've lost, Kevin. They've well, this is what leads into what I'm about to say, is that they suffer, in my opinion, from that decision that they made to get rid of South Africa, to move away from South Africa and Super Rugby. Not playing against South Africa regularly has really, really stunted New Zealand, I think, and Australia. They play a certain way. Those Antipodean nations play a certain way. And I was watching Super Rugby this last weekend, and everybody was raving about what a good game it was. But it's like Super Rugby has always been. And I saw Dave Rennie making the comment when he became the coach, on the day he was appointed. He was talking about the North has moved ahead when it comes to innovation, and that New Zealand needs to realise that. And I'm not sure when he says north, when he means Northern Hemisphere, we're north of them. So when he says north, it's actually Africa. He says Africa. He doesn't say South Africa. I notice every time he talks about South Africa, he talks about Africa when we go to Africa. But Africa's north of New Zealand. So I think when he says that, he's talking about South Africa and up through the equator to the
I think
Northern
he's just
Hemisphere.
talking about anybody other than New Zealand, because they used to innovate. They used to be what the world followed, and they looked at their approach to the game. That's not the way it is anymore.
And he would know, because I mean he coached for quite a few seasons in Scotland at Glasgow.
And I've been going on about this for the last 2 years. There's a woke permeating throughout the world in countries like New Zealand, and that has a knock-on effect on the amount of talent you can pull from.
Probably, yeah. No, I agree. So I do agree with you when you talk about the cattle or the lack of cattle. That is the New Zealand way of putting it. But I just think that Dave Rennie is such an improvement on Scott Robertson as a coach. I hadn't really thought about it when we were speaking last week, but now I've applied my mind to it a bit. Just the fact that Scott Robertson had only ever coached Crusaders before he took the New Zealand job. So he hadn't coached international rugby. He hadn't coached outside of New Zealand.
Where is he going to go?
And if you look at,
is he going to be the England coach?
I don't know, but if you look at New Zealand, if you look at the New Zealand coaches that have won World Cups, Graham Henry, he coached Wales and he coached the British and Irish Lions.
Yeah.
Steve Hansen also played Wales. I mean, coached Wales. I remember he was a coach when they came out here in 2000. And when did Hansie die? Hansie Cronje. I remember when Hansie died.
2007?
No, it was earlier than that. I think it was in 2006.
So?
It was when Rudolph Straley was actually first took over. So it was 2002. It was that long ago.
Wasn't it that long ago?
I think it was 2002. And we can check that up. But 2002 was Wales came to South Africa. The first test of Rudolph Straley's reign was in Bloemfontein in 2002, in June of 2002.
June 1st, 2002.
Yes, so I was right. So my memory.
You were right.
Yeah.
So let's even be right about the rugby.
So Steve Hansen was a coach of so the guys who've coached New Zealand to success haven't had that insular view that some New Zealanders have had, and I think New Zealand has become more insular since South Africa's left. Because we play more of a test type of rugby than test rugby type of style to the New Zealand and Australian teams. So I think that they're missing us a lot. They're missing South Africa a lot. So when I say that New Zealand might become contenders, I'm comparing how I feel now to how I was feeling 2 weeks ago actually earlier in the year when Scott Robertson was still the coach. Because let's face it, if they brought Jamie Joseph in, he also has coached international rugby outside of New Zealand. So he also doesn't have that insular view. I just think that New Zealand has become very insular, and that Dave Rennie might be the person who takes them out of that insularity. And he's coached Test rugby, obviously he's coached Australia.
Can you guys get my dictionary?
Sorry?
I'm just asking for my dictionary because I'm a little bit blown away by your use of the words here.
He shouldn't have been dropped as the Australian coach. It was a complete disaster bringing in Eddie Jones, as you know. And whether it was Eddie Jones's fault or just the timing, I don't know. But it was the wrong move. So Dave Rennie actually is somebody that if I was a Kiwi, I would believe more in than Scott Robertson, who was the breakdancing coach. And everybody always all the New Zealanders who have a bit of inside always tell me that he wasn't a great tactical coach. He's a little bit like Dobbo in a way, like John Dobson, in the sense that he gets the players to believe in him and they get a good culture. And then you might have other guys who are the tactical coaches who work around you. And
but those guys went into the New Zealand structure. All his support staff went into the New Zealand structure.
Or from the Crusaders. That was also odd. I mean, he bought the guy from the Blues. What is his name? Leon MacDonald. And then he left after a couple of months. Remember, he decided he couldn't take it.
Yeah.
So there was a lot obviously wrong with with Razor's management team. I mean, the fact that because he wasn't the only assistant coach who left.
No,
they
took a beating at home by 30-odd points against South Africa.
Yeah.
They lost to England by double digits. Yeah. So there was something seriously wrong with the All Blacks.
And also, you never knew what the All Blacks were trying to do. It's a bit like Steve Borthwick's England at the moment.
Oh.
I watch England at the moment. And
well,
what is actually what is your identity? What are you actually trying to? I know there's a lot of box kicking and everything, but it's like, and that is the modern way. But they've got what's this, Lee Hackett or Sherritt, who's the attack coach at England. They made a big fuss about him when he came in to become the attack coach. I think he was from Bath.
Quasimodo. I don't know.
And he came in as the attack coach, and I don't see the attacking.
But that is an autopsy that I'd love to perform. England's autopsy after 4 games. Yeah. 3 losses.
Yeah, no, they've been
to Italy, Ireland, and Scotland.
They've been horrible.
I mean, they were blown away by Ireland and Scotland.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, they were blown absolutely away by pounded.
And then they beat Wales. And they beat Wales at the beginning of the Six Nations.
Yeah.
I think Wales are improving.
I don't.
If Wales played England on Saturday, I think that would be a closer game.
I think that you're one of those guys on the board still paying that woman. It's now 2-20 something, and brave Wales. Brave Wales. I don't
know about brave. I just think that they're starting to become more dynamic.
Well, but
they need to sort out their defence, which they are starting to do. But I don't know. I thought I watched them play Ireland last week. Did you stay up on the Friday night?
Yeah.
Because I wasn't sure that you would bother, like seeing you so sort of you're so sort of cynical about Wales.
I was post recovery from a hangover on Friday, so I was very much on the couch licking my wounds, and watching another display, another loss, and I knew what everybody'd say: Wales are getting better, Wales are competing. Bullshit.
I think they are.
Unfortunately, Wales have gotten to play the teams that have played their World Cups. Yeah. And by that I mean the most important games. So they played Ireland, who had just beaten England, you know, in a massive game for them. Believe me, as an Irishman, beating England is right up there as the old enemy. Then they played Scotland, and Scotland the week before had beaten.
Scotland had beaten England.
Yeah, and this week they play Italy, who've also just beaten England. Yeah. So this is like, I know we're on 2 sides of the coin here, but the odds on that game, you can get 61% return for an Italy win. And to me, that is so attractive because out of all those teams, the team progressing in the right direction, and the Italians can get over a hangover in a few days. You know, I know they'll been partying, and that would have been their World Cup. And there should be regression from playing at that level and winning that and what it meant to them. Yeah. But to play Wales is so fucking bad.
I just think that Italy and Wales have traded places. And when I say that, I'm talking about where they're standing in their respective developments at the moment. And a couple of years ago, remember, Italy hadn't won. They hadn't beaten, and they beat Wales, and it was a huge. Remember, there was a huge thing about them beating Wales. We've now got to the point where it almost feels to me like Wales have more to gain on Saturday than Italy have, because Wales have lost 15 games in a row in the Six Nations. They've got to the point now where any win is going to be treated like they've won a World Cup final. So I just think that just watching the build-up in Cardiff this week, like, you know, from afar, it just seems to me that there just might be. I just think there might be an because it will be an upset for Wales to win now.
Yeah, Wales are underdogs.
Yeah, which it wasn't years ago, and that's why I've got a feeling that just because Italy have almost like sort of arrived, if you know what I mean. And when the minute you think you've arrived, something knocks you back and says, okay, you're not quite there yet. And I've just got a funny feeling that might be this weekend, that they're going to go there, and they're not playing England this week. Last week they were playing England, where they wanted to make history. This week they're playing Wales.
There's no doubt.
They're playing Wales. Everybody beats Wales, and they're expected to beat Wales. So it's going to be interesting to see how Italy actually respond to being favourites in Cardiff.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, it's unless Wales have 15 guys that I don't know about somewhere.
I just think they're playing fairly good rugby. I mean,
You
you talk about like, oh well, they're up against us. They played pretty good rugby at stages of that game against Ireland last week. I mean, they're starting to. I just think that there is like something happening. And I'm not saying that I wouldn't give them a chance if they were playing the Springboks or if they're playing France or if they're playing, but they're playing Italy. And although Italy are on the up, and I agree with Russie that they could become contenders, I just don't think that their growth at the moment, you can be absolutely certain that they're now in a position where you can say they're going to Cardiff and they'll definitely win. They'll go to Cardiff and they're favoured to win. But I've got a funny feeling that it's going to be a sort of a new situation for them.
Well, the only thing against Italy is the regression, is throwing it out, leaving nothing on the field, getting up for a game that you should win, and having won your World Cup the week before against England.
Well, Scotland are sort of like an example. I mean, Scotland played against Wales.
Exactly.
And they were trailing for most of that game.
Yeah.
And we're talking about Scotland, and Scotland, although they lost in Rome, Scotland are probably a better team still than Italy are.
Yeah, I always feel bad that anybody playing Wales has an extra gear that they can click into at any stage.
Well, yeah.
Doesn't matter what the score is. Wales are an embarrassment. The fact 2-21 or 2-22.
Well, it's just 17 in a row 15 Six Nations games that they've lost, and yes, I think it's 2 of the last 21 since the World Cup. They've won 2 They've won 2 games, and who they've beaten? They've beaten Japan. So if they now beat Italy, who would have thought this 10 years ago?
Nobody.
I mean, 10 years ago we would have thought, well, I mean, Wales against Italy in Cardiff. It's got to be Wales, and it's not. There's nothing to celebrate. But now, if they beat Italy at the weekend, the Welsh. I mean, forget the Budvar. What's the drink? The Stella Artois.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always like worry about what the Welsh do on a Saturday night after Wales have lost. Like, paint the town red, and it could be one of those nights in Wales if they do beat Italy.
Yeah, could. Well, I doubt it, but I've been in Cardiff many times, and. We shouldn't be expecting a huge win to come from playing Italy. That's the level we should be at, you know. So the team that really fascinates me is England. Where to from here? I mean, after the All Black, and I want to go back and quote some things, not verbatim, but in the essence of what it was. I read that they had the best tight 3 in the world.
Yeah, no.
I couldn't stop laughing when I read that. I was like, what is this guy fucking on? They were them versus the Springboks. They're not even worthy of playing the Springboks right now. They're just not. South Africa beat them by 30 points.
I was at my running club, which is on the Bloberg beachfront at the Life Saving Club out on the west coast here last night, and because of the weather, it was so amazing. Yeah. So I sent a couple of photos to a mate of mine in Durban to show him, because I wanted him to come and live in Cape Town. So I was sending him photographs, and I said, "Look at this." And then as the sun was going down, he sent me a message saying it's getting better and better. With England, it's getting worse and worse. Yeah. It sort of feels like their photograph is just getting steadily worse. They lost to Scotland, and everybody said it's a one-off. Yeah, aberration. Scotland always get up against
bad day
England.
At the office.
Yeah, it's a bad day at the office there. And then they went and lost to
Ireland.
They lost to Ireland at home, and then everybody said, and then they said, well, they're going to beat Italy, and if they lose 3 in a row, then we must be worried. Then they did lose 3 in a row.
Yeah,
they've lost 3 in a row, and now Steve Borthwick is under serious pressure. I mean, his bosses have said to him, "You've got to basically get it right by the summer." You remember who they're playing? Remember who they play next?
France.
No, they're playing France on Saturday.
Yeah.
But who's their next game against?
South Africa?
Yes, in Joburg.
Yeah.
So basically, it doesn't get any easier for them.
No. So, look, that is a cadaver.
So we're talking. I mean, this is a conversation we can have in July.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about 5 in a row, because I don't think England are going to beat France this weekend. So then it's going to be 4 in a row, and then they're going to come to Joburg and looking at 5 in a row.
Okay. So
And I don't think they're going to. It's a long time in the future, but I can't see them winning at Ellis Park.
okay. Look, it's an interesting round to bet on this weekend. Scotland versus Ireland in Ireland.
Well, Scotland have a horrendous record.
Record.
against Ireland. They've lost 11 in a row now
Yeah.
since 2017.
Yeah.
You mentioned Scotland winning their World Cup game against England, and then they had a bit of a blip against Wales. But the difference this time is that Scotland should be able to smell that blood in the water, in the sense that they've got a chance now of, okay, maybe even if France, like you can correct, you know more about the Six Nations than I do because of your Welsh heritage, but correct me if I'm wrong. But even if Scotland, if France beat England, and then basically Scotland can't win the Six Nations, they still end up winning the Triple Crown, won't they?
Yeah.
And they haven't won the Triple Crown in a long time. They haven't won anything in a long time. So there's a lot for Scotland to play for this weekend.
And Ireland as
Scotland
well.
finished second on the log. That's a huge improvement from their previous finishes. So there's a lot to play. So it's not really a repeat of what we saw 2 or 3 weeks ago in Cardiff, where they went there and you sort of thought, are they going to get up for Wales because they've just beaten England? They're actually playing their final now.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on it, Bud? Because I'll tell you, you might be surprised by my pick, but I'm picking Scotland. Just based on the fact that I know Ireland is shit. I'm sorry, people, for just coming to a simple conclusion. But I'm not being fooled by Ireland's beating of England. They beat a bad team. And Scotland are not a bad side.
It's just that I think, okay, here's what I think.
Yeah.
I think that Scotland get away with a lot when they play against France and England, in the sense that for some reason they leave quite a lot of space for Scotland to attack. I mean, it was ridiculous how Scotland were going through the gaps in that game in Murrayfield against England, and then against France it was even worse. I mean, they've got the best defence coach in the world in
Edwards.
Edwards. I've forgotten his first name, but they've got the best defence coach in the world there. But you wouldn't have thought so watching that game last weekend. And it's almost as if those two teams were lax on defence against Scotland. I think Andy Farrell is going to be setting up Ireland to be in the Scottish faces. They're going to close down the space that their defence is going to give Scotland very little room to move. I think Ireland are going to win this game because of their defence, because they're going to do something. They're going to do something to Scotland that the other two teams didn't. When I say the other two teams, are the other two big teams, not Wales. The other two big teams did against them. So I've got that. I'll take Ireland to win based on what I expect, the type of rugby I expect Ireland to play against them, and I think it's probably one of the reasons why Ireland have a really good record against Scotland, because they don't go. It's like you mentioned the Liverpool game last under Jurgen Klopp. Whenever, because I'm a Liverpool supporter, whenever Liverpool played against a team that you knew was going to play attacking football, you could back Liverpool to win because they were good against those kind of teams. So. And that was the thing about Scotland against France. They were playing against a team that wanted to attack. And make no mistake, Ireland are a very good attacking team, but I think they've got a little bit more to their game. The other aspects of their game, and I'm talking about defence. I'm talking about being in the opposition faces. I just think that might be what will decide the game. And also I have to question the Scottish temperament. They've won 2 massive games in the Six Nations. Do they still have it in them to get up emotionally to win a third? I think there's a question mark there. They haven't done this. They haven't done this since I think 1999. When what did they win in 1999? I know they won quite a few in a row. 1990 they won the Grand Slam. So maybe we even go back to 1990 since they were last in this position. So in that sense,
what was the year that Gavin Hastings cried? When was that? 1993. 92?
Was it 93 or was it 84? Yeah, it was 90. It would have been 1990. Would have been 90, where they beat England. I think they beat England to clinch the Grand Slam.
Yeah.
That was
and every woman fell in love with him.
Yeah.
Jeez, I was in England at the time. Anyway, My call is Ireland.
No, it's not.
Sorry,
It's
my call
you're
is Scotland.
My score. Okay, my score is definitely. My call is definitely. I'd love. I mean, I'm married to a Scot. I'd love the Scots to win.
Yeah.
I love the style of rugby they play, and I'm also enjoying. To be honest, I'm also enjoying Gregor Townsend sticking it up to the Scottish critics because they've been so harsh on him, and I remember when they lost that game against Argentina where you and I called an Argentina win, and you sent me a thing like halfway through the game because they were 21 points behind, and they came back and won the game, Argentina, and they turned on Scotland. Like Gregor Townsend's useless, and they'd lost to the All Blacks, and I was thinking, guys. We talk about who's got the kettle. You're not really comparing apples with apples. I mean, Argentina are a good team now. New Zealand aren't, even though they're sort of like been a bit in decline. They're still good enough to beat Scotland at Murrayfield. And I felt it was very unfair the way they were attacking Gregor Townsend. So I've enjoyed the fact that I think his position must be quite safe now.
I would imagine so. So, give me a score for Scotland-Ireland.
Scotland-Ireland, it will be something like 25-17 to Ireland.
Yeah.
25-17. To Ireland, though, not to Scotland.
I think the opposite. I'm going to call it for Scotland. 25-17 Scotland. Then we have France versus England in Paris, I believe.
Yes, it is in Paris.
Yeah.
Late at night,
Yeah.
as they always are, those games.
Horrible stadium.
I mean, the thing with England is that you sort of feel... Because, that picture keeps getting worse, as I was saying.
I don't feel anything for England.
Like the sunset last night got better and better. The England are getting worse and worse. And we'll probably get onto the Stormers Bulls later. You sort of feel that, like, the England are... They've got to get it right sometime. But are they going to get it right against France, who are smarting? If France had gone into this game having walloped Scotland last week, I would say maybe there could be a bit of a shock result here, but they didn't. They lost to Scotland, and they always have one big blowout.
Well, they're playing for the championship. They've got a lot to play for.
They play for the championship, and England are playing for pride, and they're playing to keep the hacks from their door. So I think France will win. Are you asking me for a score?
Yeah.
I think there'll be 15 or more points, 12 or more points in it. I think England might get up and be feisty and put up a good fight, but I think that Scotland will win by 12. France will win by 12 or more.
I see here the bookies have got 16.5 point favourites for France. I think that's too much.
Yeah, well, okay, I'm saying 12. So I think that England are going to raise their game. They're going to remember this is what they call it, Le Crunch.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit like the Stormers and the Bulls. The Stormers and the Bulls is a special game. It's like the big game of the year. Forget about Stormers playing against the Sharks or the Bulls playing against the Sharks. The Sharks always make up that this is the big derby of the year. It's the big derby for the Sharks, but the big derby of the country is the Bulls against the Stormers. And that's why I think that France England is also okay. So here we have it. It's when they played against Scotland, England. It was Scotland had everything to play for because it's Scotland against England, and England are the more rated team. And even when Ireland came to Twickenham a week later, it was like, everybody was saying Ireland were in decline. So it was still sort of England had been beaten the week before, but everybody was expecting England to win because they were sort of the more rated team at that particular point. Now it's changed. Now England are going there as underdogs. So that to me makes England a little bit dangerous. But I just can't see them beating France. I just can't see them beating France.
I don't either, but I don't see 16.5.
I don't see 16.5 either.
So what I tell you out there, folks, sensible betting. Don't throw the house and the baby on it.
Yeah.
But put a couple grand on England plus 16.5. You get 16.5 points.
Yes, that's what I would agree with you there.
So that's the one bet I'm going to make. Then we've got Italy playing. Playing Wales.
We've already spoken about that, haven't we?
But we haven't bet on it.
We haven't bet. Okay.
Because I see this, and my only reservation is what did Italy take out of the tank beating England?
Well, that's my point. That was my point.
But 1.61, 61% return on your investment for an Italy win. I think Italy win by 10 points at least in that game because Wales are shit.
I don't think it'll be as much as 10 points.
I know that. We're not always going to agree.
Yeah, it's. I think that's going to be a close game.
You think Wales are going to win? Come on.
I've got a funny feeling.
That could be gas.
Talking about saying a funny feeling and thinking something or sometimes different things.
Yeah.
I've just got a funny feeling that you do. I mean, before the kickoff at Scotland last week, I just suddenly had a feeling that France might win this game. I don't think we backed them to. I think we said it was going to be closer than the bookies said it would be.
Nah.
Yeah. So it's. I've just got a feeling that Wales have to win sometime.
Well, it won't be on Saturday.
You don't think so? Okay.
No, that's what I think.
Okay.
I'm going to put a couple grand on Wales to lose that game outright and collect 61% return on my bet. Gav, I think
Italy are rightly favourites. Make no mistake, Italy are rightly favourites.
Yeah.
I've just got a feeling that Scotland are building. Wales are building. That Wales are building, and that Wales have more to gain from this game this time.
I agree.
Than Italy do, and I think that's quite important. I think Italy might go there feeling a little bit complacent. They've beaten Wales the last couple of times they've played them. Yeah. They've beaten England. They've made their statement.
Well, you'll know after kickoff in the first few minutes what Italy's appetite are. So maybe you want to trade out of the bet if you see an apathetic Italian side. But I think Italy have too much. Italy's one of those teams that are almost as good as Italy, Scotland, and Ireland. They beat England, they beat Scotland, they lost by 7 to Ireland, lost by 20 to France, which is normal. They are a side trending in the right direction.
They are trending, and so are Wales starting to.
If I hear this again, so that woman gets another £9,000 for the week of doing nothing, and I'm not a convert. Italy to beat Wales comprehensively, and give them the wooden spoon. England don't have to worry about that, to be honest. No. What do you think, Gav?
Of the Wales Italy.
Yeah.
I think that the smart money will be on an Italy win, but that I've got a funny feeling that Wales are going to shock people and that they're going to win 21-18.
Okay, there you heard it there.
21-18 to Wales.
Don't pay attention to it, but you heard it there first. I love you, Gav. I'm only kidding. Now let's get into the big game: Stormers versus Bulls.
And I'm going to say almost exactly the same thing. And there's a good reason why the Bulls are favourites going into this game.
I'm going to get my earmuffs. Just a sec.
There's a good reason why the Bulls are favourites going into this game. They have much better form than the Stormers. They haven't lost, I think, since they lost in Cape Town to the Stormers in that game at the DHL, at the Cape Town Stadium. But I'd be reluctant to actually to if I was a betting man, a proper betting man, I'd be reluctant to bet too much on a Loftus derby between the Stormers and the Bulls. There's a reason why the Stormers have won 3 out of the 4 URC games that they've played there. They're not scared of Loftus. For once, they're going to be playing on a decent field as well, because the Cape Town Stadium field's been shocking. The Kings Park isn't really that much better, and the other place they played was Ellis Park. And I don't know if you saw that game, but that Ellis Park field was a nightmare. They couldn't scratch. So they're going onto a firm surface. I think that you've got to back the Bulls to win, but I certainly wouldn't be saying you must put a big margin in the game. And if the Stormers did win, it wouldn't surprise me at all. I wouldn't bet on it. I really wouldn't. I just think that the Stormers have lost twice to the Bulls. Maybe 3 times to the Bulls in the whole of URC.
But isn't
the whole URC history? No, twice. They've only lost twice to the Bulls in the whole of the URC history. And I'm one of those people who say that, there's those people who say that the one thing that man hasn't learned from history is that man doesn't learn. The only thing that man has learned from history is that man doesn't learn from history. I think that we need to pay attention to history sometimes. And the Stormers are a different animal when they play against the Bulls. It's their big game of the season. They see it as a privilege to play in that game. And I wouldn't say it's 50-50, but I would say it's 55-45 to the Bulls. And the other thing, just before we went on air now, I checked the weather. It's 23 degrees. because one of the things that I thought might count against the Stormers is a 2:00 kickoff in March. They're kicking off at 2:00, but it's only 23 degrees maximum and a little bit of rain predicted for Pretoria. The Stormers won in the rain in Pretoria last year. So what I'm actually advising people is don't bet on that game, because I don't think we can be sure who's going to win, because South African derbies are really, really odd animals.
Wow, there you have it.
What do you say?
I say that we got to tickle the balls of the elephant in the room. And the elephant in the room is the Stormers are fucking clueless right now. They've been in the worst form of their lives. They lost to the Lions. They lost to the Sharks.
But this is the first time. This is the first time that the Stormers, in this whole sequence of defeats, are actually starting as underdogs.
So they should.
They should. But even that second game against the Sharks in Durban, they'd lost the week before. But a lot of people are expecting the Stormers to bounce back. Remember,
I don't.
When you play the Lions, you're always the favourites. So this is the time when the Stormers are going out there to. And I just think that their mindset might be different. They get a good start. They get boosted by being in a game against the Bulls. They've won against the Bulls, but they're not scared of Loftus. I don't think the Stormers are scared of Loftus.
Well, they should be under the current form.
And I don't think they're scared of the Bulls. But they're playing against a team they've beaten often. That's the thing. It's a little bit like Scotland playing against England. I mean, at the beginning of the competition, everybody was saying Scotland don't have much chance, and we were saying, well, they've got a good record against England. And the Stormers have a good record against the Bulls. They do.
Okay, I get it.
That's really what I'm saying. They've got a good record against the Bulls, and there must be a reason why they've got a good. And they're not scared of the Bulls have a different coach now to what they had last year. I mean, obviously Jake White presided over those defeats. No, he didn't. I mean, Johan Ackerman lost it at Cape Town Stadium.
I just think there's a buy-in to his formula and the way he plays from the players that I'm seeing. Collective buy-in.
Okay, so here's the thing. They're starting to play a more traditional Bulls type of game now. You asked me a little while ago, have the Bulls turned the corner and why? And the reason that they've actually turned the corner is because at the beginning of Johan Ackerman's reign, it was almost he wanted to turn them into the Lions that he coached. He wanted them to run from. Remember those Championship Cup games against Bordeaux.
I think it started in France.
Yeah.
Where they went back to a traditional,
and they started, and they were forced to go back to traditional because of the wet weather. Remember, they played in inclement conditions, and they won that game. Who was it against? Power. Was it Power? Yeah. They played in inclement. And
they went with a weakened side.
They went with a weakened side, and they played in inclement conditions. The following week, I think they beat Edinburgh, and so it was a Northern Hemisphere. So again, when you play Edinburgh, you don't play that expansive game. Not on a Friday night or whenever it would have been. And then so I'm not saying that they've gone back. I'm not saying that they're playing one-dimensional rugby, but they're mixing it up more than they were. They're playing with their forwards a lot more than they were. They're being a lot more direct than they were at the start of the season. I think that I think that their turnaround actually, funnily enough, started in Cape Town, even though they lost, because in that game they were very physical. It was the Stormers they were playing against. It was. And Johan Ackerman was very, very positive after that game for a guy who had lost.
Well, confidence is a huge aphrodisiac to winning. And the one team oozing with confidence. I mean, they've beaten the last two wins, 33 points, 29-point victories. And then you got the Stormers who are just getting bitch slapped. Sasha looks like a spare prick at a wedding. It's just fucking embarrassing. And
he's too good a player to write off. Watch out.
I'm not writing him off.
Watch what happens on Saturday afternoon.
Under the box, he knows his role. They manage him well.
Yeah.
He was being given the captaincy, taken away from him. It's like there's been turmoil in the Stormers camp, which I'm amazed that none of the pundits talk about. And it's like, the Stormers are okay. They're going to be fine. They're not fine.
They haven't been fine.
There's something seriously wrong in the state of Denmark, as Hamlet once said, or Shakespeare once said. And there's a rot in that Stormers camp, which isn't fixed.
They're going to turn. They will. If they don't turn it around this week, they will turn it around the following week.
Of course, because their schedule becomes nothing.
They're playing Welsh teams at home.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
And you know as well as I do that one win can sometimes just bring that confidence back.
Yeah,
and then they play, and then they have a run of wins at home, and then it'll be. I've got a feeling that they'll even if they lose at Loftus, they're going to leave Loftus feeling that they've played well. I've just got a feeling it's going to be.
But they're losing at Loftus, and they're losing by double digits.
I don't think it'll be double digits.
Okay, then. Well, what can I say to that? I mean, you've thrown down the gauntlet. I'm telling you now that the Stormers are going to lose by double digits, and it's just going to keep. And then people start maybe asking, what's going on with the Stormers? Like you say, then the following week they play Wales.
Okay. So can I throw forward and say what might be right about the Stormers? Let's pretend the game's been played and the Stormers have done better than they have. And we're sitting here now. We're sitting on Sunday, and we're talking about it. I'll say to you now, did you notice the difference that Ruan Nel made to the defence now that he's back, and and suddenly that aggressive defensive system is back, and that the Stormers' the defence is suddenly connected again. There's changes. There are a couple of changes that are going to be made to the Stormers team this week. That could make a big difference. Did you notice that under the captaincy of Ruan Nel, the Stormers are a different animal?
Well,
I hope. So that's really what I'm going on. It's just I know that there's a really good chance that Ruan Nel will be back, and he was the guy who captained them to the wins in the early part of the season. The reason that I'm not being completely gung ho and saying that the Stormers will win on Saturday is because I do rate the Bulls. The Bulls are a very good team.
On the fence. Your ass must be sore from it.
The Bulls are a very good team, and they're playing at home. So they do have to start the game as favourites. I said 55%, 45%, but I'm just saying that the Stormers are going to take a step up this weekend, regardless of what the result is. I'm expecting them to make a significant step up.
Remember, I said,
if they don't, then we really don't.
At the start of the show, I said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. The Stormers have lost 3 games by 12 or more points.
They're in the same position as England. They're going into a game at the weekend where this is what I'll say, is that the Stormers and England are in exactly the same position this weekend. They've lost games, and now they're going into their big derby game, because Le Crunch is their big game, and they shouldn't be expected. Neither of them should be expected to win. So it should be 4 defeats in a row. But the Stormers have a heck of a lot better chance of winning, I think, on Saturday than England do. That's really what I'm saying.
Well, I hate to disagree with you again, but I am going to disagree with you. I think that the Stormers are going to get pummeled. Not going to be close. They're going to lose by double digits. I hope it isn't. I mean, I do support the Stormers, and want them to do well. I'm just getting so old.
You just don't. The North-South derby is just. I've done it too many times. The North-South derby is just a different. It's like when you're at school and you play the school down the road. I mean, when I was at school, we had like these like weaker cousins that we played like once a year, and it was a big derby game, and they had a really good record against us. And it was because it was the one game that they sort of got. Look, the Stormers don't have just one game; they have lots of games, and they have lots of games to come after this. But the Stormers, look, I mean, I'll probably end up sending you a message on Friday afternoon once I see the Stormers team, because this has happened a few times. Remember before the Sharks? I mean, the Sharks game in Durban.
Yeah.
We were expecting the Stormers, and then. Or was it that game? Anyway, there was a game where it was the Sharks against the Bulls. I was thinking the Sharks might do better against the Bulls when they went to Loftus a few weeks ago. And then I saw the Sharks team, and they had none of their Springboks.
Yeah.
And then you have to change your whole thing. I mean, Dobbo might choose a second string team to go to Loftus. In which case, I'm going to have to again say to you, then I've given people the wrong advice. But if the Stormers are at full strength, if Ruan Nel's back, and let's not even focus on Sasha. The last time the Stormers won at the Loftus, it was Yuri Matia who was at fly half, and he was the man of the match. I mean, there's a couple of ways that the Stormers can win that game. The Stormers are the one forward pack that might be able to match the Bulls in the scrums as well. They've got to sort out, obviously, their lineouts. They don't have the depth at lock now that they had, because Ruben van Heerden's injured, and obviously Salman Marat's out as well. So there are a number of things that worked for them in Cape Town that they don't have this time. But I just think that the Stormers at Loftus...
Okay. I look forward to receiving all your texts over
And the Bulls. Let me actually add to that. That I think that sometimes the Bulls are a little bit temperamentally suspect against
Really?
them.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a game that they sort of take too seriously themselves too.
Well,
I don't know. I think under Jake, probably figured that out.
I think they have turned the corner, and I think everybody knows where we stand on this.
Yeah, I don't think we've left anybody in any doubt.
No.
I'm not saying. Okay, so I'm saying Wales will beat Italy. I'm not saying the Stormers will beat the Bulls.
No, I know.
I'm just saying that it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be a 10-point. I don't think it's going to be a blowout.
Okay. Folks, we've given you our thoughts. Click, like, subscribe, do whatever you're supposed to do. Always a pleasure speaking to you, Gav. Always. I mean,
Thank you.
Painful today, but it's okay. I've had worse. Look forward, guys. Remember, responsible gambling. A little bet on something just to have it a bit more enjoyable. But if you're going to bet, take the 16.5 points that you're getting for England in the handicap, bet on Italy, and the Bulls will win double digits. From my side, Gavin doesn't think so. That's okay. But have fun this weekend and enjoy the rugby, everybody. Thank you.